Welcome to another episode of The Brand Called You, a podcast and podcast show that brings you leadership lessons, knowledge, experience, and wisdom from thousands of successful individuals from around the world. I'm your host, Ashutosh Garg, and today I'm privileged to welcome a very, very accomplished individual from London, UK, Anita Goyal MBE. Anita, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you, Ashutosh. That was a beautiful introduction, and I'm really glad to be here with you.
Thank you. Anita is the chair and trustee of the Goyal Foundation, and she's the trustee of the Hallmark Foundation. She's the vice president of Barnardo's and an ambassador of the Alzheimer's Society, and she's committed to philanthropy and female empowerment. So, Anita, my first question to you is to tell us about your own journey and the work you are doing through the Goyal Foundation and the Hallmark Foundation.
Thank you, Ashutosh, for that. So my story starts when I was at university and I decided to become a science teacher. I had a real passion. I was studying engineering at university in Queen Mary in London. And, when you come to a crossroad as to what to do, either PhD or go off to train in something else, and I decided to become a teacher. So I taught in some really tough schools for 20 years. And, when you say I'm a philanthropist, I'm also an educationist as well, which allows me to shine a very different perspective, not only in philanthropy, but also in another industry that I'm part of, which is social care. So I say I sit in this triangle of these three areas. And my goal and purpose in life is to bring these three areas together, and how I can gel them together and be the connector, be the inspirer, and influence people to work together within those three areas, because all three are so essential, I think, especially for my life. So and then after that, I left teaching, having done it for 20 years, and I decided to try the world of charity, and I became part of the Goyal Foundation. Back then, it was the Hemorrhage Goyal Foundation. And my husband was the one that encouraged me to do that, to think about switching sectors and trying something different and new. And ever since, I've been in that sector for the last 13 years now, and I enjoy it thoroughly. It's just been an incredible journey for me.
Oh, wonderful. And tell me a little bit more about the Goyal Foundation and the kind of work you do there.
The Goyal Foundation is primarily focused at working with children globally on education, poverty, and also women and their livelihood programs. More recently, we've been focusing a lot more on education. So we last year launched a new brand as part of the Goyal Foundation called Inner Spark. So during the pandemic, I was not teaching anymore. I left teaching, say, over 11 years ago now. And I wanted to do something to help schools, to help teachers, to help what I knew would have such a negative impact on young people. So I, sitting up in my home on my desk, designed a program. I reached out to facilitators in personal development world. I reached out to some really amazing charities like the Outward Bound Trust, Barnardo's, the Upfront Theatre Company, and people that I just got introduced to along the way. And I designed 13 workshops that we could implement as soon as the schools were open. And these are personal development workshops that would help young people with their mental health, with their well-being, with their mindset. And we started rolling out the program. And for one term, we managed to get into a few schools. And what the Goyal Foundation does is quite unique, I think, compared to, say, other suppliers of workshops, is that we provide the workshops for free.
Okay.
The school said, Anita, I'm really struggling with my 15-year-old year 10 students. Please, can you help us out and provide us with a workshop? I generally have the answer and the solution to their problem.
Yes.
And so we started rolling out the program. And then, of course, schools closed down again for another term. And then we started to build the program. We looked at what schools really needed. And now we've rebranded. It's called Inner Spark. So if you get a chance to have a look at innerspark.org.uk. And we have worked, I think, since it started with almost 100,000 children in schools across the UK. And we have a fabulous team that's helping us do this. So that's essentially what the Goyal Foundation does now. And we are on a mission to work with 1 million students, young people in schools and colleges, even in universities, whoever really needs it, where there's the need, We'll go in and we'll connect you with the right person, with the right facilitator, or even the right charity who can go in and deliver these, awesome workshops. And we want to work with 1 million children, young people over the next decade.
Amazing. How amazing. And thank you for all the amazing work you're doing for so many children. But tell me also, are you focused only on the UK, or are you in other countries as well?
That's very interesting you asked me that. So yes, so we've been focusing a lot on India. When the Goyal Foundation first started in 2010, it was primarily focusing on supporting NGOs, charities in India, especially around the trafficking work, as well as education. So we were great supporters of the Lily Against Human Trafficking. And I remember one year we did a fundraising event in London here, and we raised money so that we could support 3 projects like Vatsalya, like Stop India, also in the Red Light District. Prerna was another really great project we supported. And we just loved supporting the work that these amazing NGOs are doing in India, and they continue to commit and do. And also through the British Asian Trust, we also have had the great privilege of supporting them over the last 10 years. And that's like a collective of people, of great entrepreneurs, business-minded people who come together, who have wealth, who can support. And just on Monday, we were at an event where Rishi Sunak, our Prime Minister, came to speak and thank all of those that have been supporting the British Asian Trust with their philanthropy. So collective philanthropy is really something that we've really enjoyed doing over the last few years. And that's led by my husband, Avnish, who has an awesome vision to, make a difference in individuals that really do need this help.
Fascinating.
So, and also Nepal as well, if I may just finally add, we've had the privilege of working with one family, a charity UK based, who have been supporting Anuradha Karala with Mighty Nepal and the work she's doing with young girls, young people who've been trafficked across the borders of India and Nepal, and giving them a great home, education and healthcare. And she's, a CNN hero. And she's just one of the most phenomenal people I've met in my life.
Oh, wonderful.
So, yeah, we are doing our small part in other parts of the world as well.
Absolutely. Fantastic. Thank you. The other question or debate that I've often wondered about when it comes to philanthropy is giving money versus giving time. And you seem to be doing both. What do you consider the most effective approach in philanthropy?
That's a really good question. I think there's no best approach for me. I look at what the need and the demand is. So there could be times in my year that I'm giving more of my time, and I'm also networking to connect more people. I think that's also really important, and being able to influence and raise awareness. Bring, say, for example, you've got a project that you're very connected to and hugely passionate about, and you feel there's not enough that people know about the harm that's been caused to other human beings, especially, children. So I'll do events sometime, and I'll focus on doing events which raise awareness. Sometimes I'll focus on raising money, fundraising, and other times I will give my time to do things like this, Ashutosh, which is hugely important as well. Getting the word out there about your work as well, I think is hugely important with social media, and also writing books. So one of the ways in which I've been able to sort of harness or channel my philanthropy is through the 2 books I've authored around female empowerment, around women, and also using that as the platform to raise money for the charity as well. So I think it's a real multiple way in which you can enhance your philanthropy. But more importantly is, how do you bring your essence to your philanthropy? Because everybody has such a unique way of doing it. So I hope that answers your question.
It does. It does.
Funding is important. We need to fund the people who are even more excited and passionate about the work. Look, I can't go to India to some of the villages and deliver the work. So therefore, for me, or for us as a foundation, our board is quite keen to fund their magnificent work. And of course, they would report the work. We would maybe go and visit the projects in India. But the money is also important. You know, they
Absolutely.
can't do their work without the funding.
Absolutely. Well said. Well said. And you mentioned female empowerment. I've got a few questions a little later in our conversation about female empowerment. But my next question related to philanthropy, Anita, is how do you balance the need for immediate relief versus long-term solutions in your philanthropic efforts?
We do both.
Mm,
We recognize, especially during, now I'm going to change the word from COVID to mandatory pause.
mm,
During the mandatory pause,
mm,
we were able to be responsive
mm,
quickly
mm,
where the need was. So we collaborated with the Mughalmadeh Foundation, which is an amazing foundation led by a great friend, Ritu Chabria, who is
mm,
also supporting our Inner Spark program.
mm,
And collectively, we were able to support with another group of entrepreneurs, business people, where we could fund the support in India, the oxygen
mm,
shortage, the supply of the oxygen that they needed at the time.
mm, mm,
So that was a responsive action that we took as a result of the mandatory pause, as well as looking at what's going on. How can we help solve a problem? Like, for example, I said to you with the Inner Spark, I could see that young people would really struggle with their mental health, returning to school, having had digital poverty, having experienced isolation, and
mm,
also the demands of being schooled online. That was hugely challenging for many, many young people.
mm,
So I think having your ear to the ground and really seeing what is the need, what do we need to do, how do we respond to this, and how could I best use my resources in order to help and open up uh, the opportunities for other people to support you, both
mm,
financially and also
mm,
raising awareness so that other people can then use their influence to tell the
mm,
world more about this, some of the challenges that people are faced with.
mm, mm,
So yeah, I used a very multidimensional approach. But going to back to your question, some of the long-term efforts and work, organizations like the British Asian Trust are
mm,
very, very well equipped
mm,
in order to look at some of the long-term challenges. So, for example, in India, some of the work that they're doing to
mm,
support the child funds and working with governments, working with the local area, looking at 10-year, longer-term change.
mm,
That's why it's really important for us to continue to fund longer term projects as well. And
mm,
they provide us with the um, knowing that our money has been well used. It's made a difference. Every pound we're getting value for money for
yeah.
how we're using our giving, and we're able to really tackle some long term issues and problems. Organizations like the Barnardo's charity. I'm a vice president of Barnardo's,
Mm,
and their work is long term.
right.
It has longevity. It's also responsive, but it's actually really looking at how do we tackle some of the challenges faced by children and young people in the UK as well.
Mm,
So I think you've got to be first of all connected to the causes, and secondly look at both aspects.
mm, mm.
So
Well
that
said.
that gives me the excitement of philanthropy, because I think it's a really exciting space
Well
to be
said.
in right now.
Well said. So one more question related to philanthropy, and then I'll move to another set of conversations. Um, how do you determine which causes or projects to support?
Again, a wonderful question. And usually it's what touches my heart.
Mm,
And I see the work, I really look at, first of all, is it to do with children and is it to do with women? And if it fits into that category, and of course, sometimes we'll donate to health charities as well,
mm,
especially when we are going to some amazing events, when we always support, whenever we go to a fundraising event, we will always give.
mm,
And that gives us an opportunity to have freedom with our philanthropy as well.
mm,
But how do we choose? The essence of that comes from our vision and our mission for our foundation,
mm,
be it the Goyal Foundation or the Hallmark Foundation.
mm,
And we really look at if it lies within our mission and we feel that we can add value and we can help make a difference, we can help elevate the charity or the
mm,
NGOs that are doing the work. And we take our projects to the board. And our CEO, Stephen Berg,
mhm,
he's been an amazing asset to both of our foundations. And he brings projects to us that are in line with our mission and our vision. And it keeps us really streamlined because, Ashutosh, you can imagine there are so many charities you can give to, but you have to decide, where does this lie within our long-term strategic plan, our objectives, and, is this, and then we have to decide which charity or which foundation does it fit in closely with. So yeah, again, we do a mixture, but we have a board that helps us to decide, our trustees, and we work together on selecting the projects that are presented to us with our CEO.
Well said. I want to now move to female empowerment, Anita. So my first question, and you've probably been asked this many times, how do you define female empowerment in the contexts within which you work?
Again, it's something that I'm hugely passionate about. And I'm glad you asked me this question. How do I define it? Because quite often, what I define it doesn't always fit in with other people's views.
Correct.
Like I've had people say to me, or made some quite negative comments about, oh, well, you're all up for female empowerment and so on, especially within the family. And I like to look at female empowerment as, how do we enhance our femininity in this space? How do us as women not forget to lose our femininity, and we use that as our power? And I think when I come in from that essence, I love to engage women with looking at all aspects of their life, not just going for, oh, I'm CEO of this, I'm a founder of this, I've created a big business that's earning all this money. I like to draw the femininity in women, and I'm not a feminist, but I love to see, well, how can you use that as your power? How can you use that to help change the world and bring kindness and bring love and bring hope to others as well? And, I've been able to do this through my 2 books, and always try and bring out the femininity in the women that I'm interviewing. And also, again, in my podcast show, Relight Your Fire, again, I started off thinking that I'm only going to interview women. But I also got to see that a lot of the women were saying that it's the men that have lifted them or raised them or enhanced their career journey or even anything in their life. And I felt that men also have a really positive effect on, how women become empowered as well. And when we all come together as a collective, we can really support each other with that. So I hope that answers your question. I'm a real champion for bringing out your feminine power, and, kindness, love, hope, patience, and being your possibility, whatever your possibility. One of the things that I do is I try and always remember, I practice my possibility. So in any situation, I will say, right, in this situation, I will be my possibility of love, kindness, patience, support, whatever the situation may be. And if I bring that forward to myself in all those various situations, I find that I can reduce my, say, for example, my upset, my complaints, I can keep my eye on the actual outcome and the goal that I want to achieve. And I can put my emotions aside and I can bring the best of me through that. And I see, and I've been trying to extract that from all the women that I've been interviewing, and also obviously through the charity and the philanthropy as well.
So, through your foundations, you support education, and you're also a big champion of female empowerment. My question is, how do education and empowerment intersect when it comes to women's rights?
I'm so glad you asked me this question, because I've been thinking about this a lot more recently. One of the things I think is lacking in women and young people, especially girls, is financial literacy. And we all know that financial literacy can be the passport for your future, can be opening for so many opportunities for you.
Right.
And I even experienced that with my own 2 daughters. That our son seems to be, he's a chartered accountant, but has now switched to becoming a physics teacher. But when my daughters, one is a doctor and one is in our family business, which is the Hallmark Care Home business. And when I talk to them about finances, I often find that they haven't got the confidence and self-esteem, and they shy away from learning about finances. And they're quite happy to have a job that is providing them with a salary. So I've been involved quite a lot with Tony Robbins. So I'm a platinum partner with Tony Robbins. And in Vancouver, we went to do my husband and I, we're both platinum partners. And he's a guy that lifts me and wants me to become empowered with my finances as well. We did the finance seminar back in January. And I came back thinking, why did I not receive this education when I was at school or when I was at university? You know, I could have created a diverse portfolio. I could have really looked at my asset allocation. I could have learned the language of finance, because being in the world of finance, especially if you're not in it, is quite scary. When I get thrown all these words, I have now learned with my confidence is to stop people and ask them questions. And if I don't understand, then look, actually, could you explain that to me? Forgive me for my naivety, but can you teach me about what you're saying? So I really think this area is going to be so essential for women now, and more women are helping other women to learn about finances. You know, one of the other things that I'm also learning is to ask people where they're investing their money. Before, I would never ask that. I always thought, and you'll be surprised with the amount of women that are sharing where they're investing their money and how they're creating a diverse portfolio for themselves, so that you are not trading your time for money. So I think that's a really big area for me, and that's really current for me. And I'm really working to educate my daughters, and also I want to bring more expert women in this field to educate more people. So I think that's something I'm going to be embarking on over the next.
What a great response. Thank you. So I have time for two more questions for you. My next question is, how important is mentorship in empowering women? And how do you facilitate this through your foundations?
I love this question. I think having a mentor is really important. I remember in the early days, I had a few mentors that would help me with different aspects of my life. You know, there are role models around you, and you can see what they do. You can read about these role models in books. You can see them as celebrities or leaders in organizations. You know, the word mentorship is probably quite new in my world anyway. And I think that you've got to find mentors. That's the biggest message I would say to other people listening to this, in the area that you would like help with. It could be, for example, you know, once I was mentoring somebody who really wanted help in handling, yes, for example, family matters and relationships within the family. I've mentored somebody who has swam the English Channel, Leah Chowdhury, an amazing woman. And she swam the English Channel, first British Asian woman. And I was her mentor for a short time, where we talked about philanthropy, we talked about charity, we talked about all sorts of topics, actually. So, yeah, I think having a mentor is important for your business, for your family life, for your philanthropy, for your education. You know, we talk about the wheel of life.
Yeah.
So you can Google the wheel of life. We do it in our Tony Robbins workshops and seminars. You know, I was just in Fiji doing life and wealth mastery. And whenever you can just step back and just say, right, let me make my wheel of life, Google it, print it out and do it, and see where the gaps are, see where you're not scoring so high in, and find somebody that you know is doing amazing in that area. So for example, it could be in wealth, for example, in money and wealth. Find somebody who's a leader in a sector which you want to also enhance your career or a business life, and phone them up, speak to them, and ask people. And you may get a few no's, but don't give up. Keep asking people, read books about that area, and find your mentors in an array of different ways that you can do that. So you can really get help to lift you and set your goals in that particular area.
Fascinating. And my last question to you, Anita, and this is for you personally. What impact has the recognition of your efforts, like you're receiving the MBE, had on your mission for philanthropy and female empowerment?
It's helped me a lot. And initially, I used to wonder about this. What do I now do that I now have been recognized in my services to diversity and female empowerment? I think I met somebody fascinating who said, well, Anita, look at it like this. You can do more with it than without.
Right.
And that gave me great comfort. So now I have this huge responsibility of continuing this work, enhancing this work, and it's fired me up to do even more. And to continue to be hopefully a great role model for other women or other young people even, or other people who want to excel in this area. I'm not saying that I'm the expert in those two areas, but it's given me an opportunity to share my ideas, my views, and also become an advisor. So Ashutosh, one of the things that I've done is something called disc profiling. A really good friend of mine, Rita Chowdhury, who runs her business called Savran. And through my disc profiling recently, it showed up that I have a profile of an advisor. And it was funny that came up because obviously you have lots and lots of questions to do. And I got to see that actually my role as a philanthropist and in the space of female empowerment has really transitioned, and it's grown in a different area. I never would have seen myself as an advisor, but I get asked to be on boards of charities, and they ask me, like, how can we fundraise? How can you support us? How can you share your expertise? How can we do this better? How can we? And I just love that, because I think through all the years I've been working in this space, so recently I was asked to join the Global Fund for Children. Again, huge organization, a charity that's been around for 30 years. Maya started a charity in the US, and they're helping hundreds and hundreds of charities and NGOs across globally. And I didn't really get my power until I joined the board as a co-chair of their fundraising board. And my husband always reminds me that, Anita, you've got to embrace these opportunities, because people see you and recognize you as somebody who could add value to what they're doing. And I happily share anything to do with, if it helps them to solve a problem, I'm really, delighted to share. So I think my role has transitioned over the years since 2021. And and I'm just only now starting to accept that I can add value to others.
Absolutely.
Amongst everything else that's been happening in our family life, and some of the challenges that we've been experiencing, my husband and I, and that knocks your confidence. It really does. But I'm back up, and I'm through my personal development work that Avnish and I are both doing, it's really helping us a lot, because often we can, we've been funding these schools workshops since 2020 at the end of that particular year. And one of the things that we've committed to is to ensure that we continue to personally develop ourselves, because we are always so busy in designing workshops for families, empowerment days. In fact, we're about to do another one. And also the other thing we did more recently was, Avnish and I, for the 10 years, we've been doing workshops on finding your ultimate partner, and also having the ultimate relationship. So if you're married, or if you're in a partnership, or if you're together with your loved one, with your beloved, and how to take that relationship to the next level. So we found we could serve our community in other ways, not just through charity, but also through doing our seminars and workshops. So this is the year for us to educate ourselves even more, so that we can deliver even more powerful workshops. Absolutely. And finally on that, and then I'll stop, is I have been doing workshops with women on empowering hearts. And I've had the opportunity to talk more about femininity and how to use your femininity to get more fulfillment in your life.
Fascinating.
Thank you.
On that note, Anita, I just want to say thank you so much for speaking to me at such length about your own journey. Thank you for speaking to me about the work that you do at the Goyal Foundation and the Hallmark Foundation. Thank you also for talking at such length about philanthropy and the amazing work that you're doing, empowering women and children, not just in the UK, but in India, and I'm sure, and in Nepal and many other countries. Thank you for the conversation on female empowerment. I loved how you have rechristened COVID into a mandatory pause. And I think that's something I'm going to pick up and say that I'll give you full mark credit for that, those two words. But I love mandatory pause. And thank you for speaking to me about all the work that you are doing in different parts of the work, designing your workshops and helping so many people. And I'm sure one of these days I'll see your objective of 1 million people being supported through your foundations. Thank you for speaking to me and good luck.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you, Ashutosh.
Thank you for listening to the Brand Called You videocast and podcast, a platform that brings you knowledge, experience, and wisdom of hundreds of successful individuals from around the world. Do visit our website www.tbcy.in to watch and listen to the stories of many more individuals. You can also follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Just search for the Brand Called You.